Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew.
And I'm Kassy.
And this is the Culips English Podcast. Hello, friends. Welcome back to another Culips episode. This is Simplified Speech, which is our series which features clear, natural, and easy to understand English conversations about interesting topics. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Kassy. Hey, Kassy.
Hey, Andrew, and hey, listeners. Great to be here today.
Kassy, recently I was hanging out with one of my friends, and he told me this story about having to update the GPS in his car. I guess for whatever reason, his car GPS navigation system thingy is not connected to the internet, so you actually have to update it with an SD card. And so every time he'd get in his car and start the car up, the GPS would prompt him like, update, update, update. And he just kept saying, cancel, cancel, cancel. And then recently he was out for a drive, and on the way home, I'm not exactly sure where he was, but when he was trying to come home, he started up his car and the GPS refused to work. It's like, that was your final warning. You've been neglecting me too long. And I don't know, maybe it thought it was dangerous to navigate him with this outdated map. So it just refused to work. And my friend said that in that moment, he realized what a game changer having GPS in your car is, because when he didn't have it, then he was like, how am I going to get home? I don't know the way to get home. Now, thankfully, he had his smartphone with him and he could just use the GPS on his smartphone to get him home. So it wasn't really that big of a deal. But when my friend was telling me this story, I realized that he accidentally provided me with a great topic for today's Simplified Speech episode, because Kassy, today, I think we could talk about the topic of game changers.
No, that's a great topic. I think we have so much to talk about today.
Sounds good, Kassy. So we'll get into our conversation here in just a moment. But before we do, I want to let our listeners know that there is a study guide and interactive transcript for this episode. And everyone, in fact, we have study guides and transcripts for all of our episodes in our library. And there are hundreds and hundreds of episodes for you to improve your English with. Now, our study guides are created by our team of expert English teachers to help you build your English skills and reach your learning goals faster than ever. And as a member, you'll also get some great bonuses like access to our members only series, which is called the Fluency Files, plus an invitation to our monthly live stream, which is only for Culips members. And that's just a tiny slice of the different benefits that you'll get as a member. So to learn more and to sign up and to support the work that we do here at Culips as well, just visit our website, culips.com, and you can do that.
And before we get started, we also like to give a shout out to one of our listeners named Caroline Maria, I love that name, from Germany, who left us a great review and a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Caroline Maria wrote, "Dear Culips team, your episodes are amazing. I really enjoy listening to them. I especially liked the latest ballet episode, maybe because I am a dancer as well. Anyways, they're all great, and you guys are so authentic and likable. Thank you for your great work. Keep on going. I really appreciate your content. All the best, and many thanks from Germany."
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Carolina Maria. I want to say, Kassy, I took German in high school, and I learned, and I think I remember correctly, that if you have an E at the end of a German word, then you have to pronounce it. So I think it's Carolina Maria.
Carolina Maria just flows off the tongue so nicely.
Yeah, I agree. A beautiful name, and thank you so much for that great review. So, Kassy, why don't we jump in to our main topic for today, which is about game changers. And I think the best way to start is with a definition. And so when we talk about a game changer, we could be talking about a person, or we could be talking about an object, right? Like it could be a thing is a game changer, or it could be a person is a game changer. And what it means is that that person or that thing, or maybe even it's an event or an idea, it really, really dramatically changes the current way of doing something or thinking about something. And it just breaks the status quo. The status quo is what we call the normal, right? The normal situation is the status quo. But a game changer is something revolutionary, it's brand new, and it completely changes the status quo and the way that we're currently doing things. At the top of the show, we talked about the GPS and the invention of the GPS, and we could say that is a game changer because it completely changed the way that people navigate through the world, right? Like, Kassy, I know you're quite a bit younger than I am, but I'm wondering, when you were a kid, do you remember ever having to use a paper map? Like, did your parents ever use a paper map when they were trying to get somewhere? Or do you remember like being in the backseat of your parents' car and maybe they stopped at a gas station to ask for directions? Like, did you ever have that experience?
Not necessarily, but my grandma had paper maps in case we got lost somewhere, and she would print directions off of MapQuest online before she had a GPS. So I remember a little bit, but I never had to do it.
Okay, like I remember a lot of memories about this, actually. I remember like when my parents would invite guests over to the house, the guest would call and my parents would give directions about how to get to our house. You know, like you have to turn left here and turn right here and go down the road, because there was no way to search Google Maps or anything. And I remember my dad also pulling into gas stations to ask for directions. We drove across the country before and we got lost at some point, and my dad had to ask at a gas station how to go to our hotel. And yeah, I remember like looking at paper maps all the time as a kid too. So definitely now having GPS and map applications in our cars and in our phones is a complete game changer.
Yeah, even for people who lived with it before. I bet people who had to use maps before wonder how they survived back then. I think in the countryside, it's not as bad, but in the city, could you imagine navigating a giant city like Seoul or New York or Bangkok without a GPS? It'd be impossible.
Yeah, it would be a lot of trial and error. People back in the day must have just given themselves way more time to arrive, right? It's like, I got to be somewhere at 5 p.m. I'm going to leave at like 10 a.m. and just assume that I'm going to get lost for 3 hours before I arrive at the destination. I don't know. And probably getting lost was also a really good excuse. Like, oh, sorry, I'm late. I got lost. And you're like, oh yeah, that could happen. Yeah. These days, you can't use that as an excuse.
Yeah. Sorry, my phone died. I had no GPS. My aunt had a few stories about how she would cry on the side of the road because she couldn't find where she was supposed to go.
I would literally be lost without my GPS these days and my map app. Absolutely. Kassy, can you think of any other game changers?
This is also an appliance or a piece of technology. Living in Korea, until recently, ovens were not a huge thing in households. But I love my oven. I use it every day. And when I started dating my current husband, he noticed these meals I was cooking in the oven and he was flabbergasted. Yeah, it was a total game changer for him. He's like, wow, you can make all of these cool things in an oven. I had no idea.
Okay, let's break that down because you did say a cool word there, flabbergasted. Flabbergasted means so surprised that you don't really even know what to say. You're just like shocked. Your mind has been blown and you are stunned, right? That is flabbergasted. And so this is a good example of how we can use game changers in a kind of personal sense, because although the oven, I'm sure, was a very revolutionary idea when it was first invented, ovens have been around for quite a while, and you're talking more about getting an oven in your house as being a game changer in your life. So it really changed your lifestyle, although we could say that probably most people in the world weren't affected by you getting an oven, right? So that's a cool way that we can use this expression, actually, is to talk about things in our own life. Kassy, like for example, in my life, and maybe this is not the best example because probably many people would agree with me, but you know, I like running, that's my hobby, and I got the wireless Apple AirPods to listen to music while I run. And I also have a running watch where I can stream music from my watch into my ears when I run. So that means that I don't have to bring my wallet with me. Here in Korea, all of the doors to get into houses are just keypad doors, so I don't have to bring any keys with me. And before, when I lived in Canada, I always had to have my phone, my headphones, my key, my wallet, and it was just always clunky to run around. Then when I got this combination of the AirPods and the watch, I was like, oh, this is a total game changer. Now I can just leave my house and run without anything, and I felt so much lighter and just overall better. So yeah, that's an example of kind of personal game changer in my life, at least.
Yeah, that's a good segue into a topic that I was thinking of that is a game changer for the whole world, similar to the GPS. And this was pretty recent, just this year, and that is ChatGPT. Big game changer.
Huge game changer. And I think we still haven't really seen the consequences and the fallout of this yet. But yeah, I was just talking with a coworker of mine recently about this, and we're kind of like, wow, this changed the game, but we don't know exactly how it changed the game yet. Like, it has the potential to maybe take down Google, right? That's what my friend and I were talking about. It's like, could ChatGPT bring down Google? And like 6 months ago or a year ago, that seemed totally impossible. And now we're like, could one of the world's biggest companies be brought down by this new website and this new AI technology? And I think, yeah, we don't know, but it's possible, maybe, because ChatGPT is such a game changer. And I think probably everybody knows about ChatGPT by now, but if you had to summarize it just in a nutshell for somebody that's not familiar with it, what would you say it is, Kassy?
It's a website with an AI base where you can plug in any prompt, question, or command, and it'll give back an answer. And it is scarily accurate or scarily proficient in its tasks.
And I think for a lot of people, it's an amazing technology that is going to change the game in a good way. But Kassy, for educators like you and I, we're a little bit worried, right? Like, I teach an English writing class, and I'm worried that my students are going to cheat and fake their essays just by using ChatGPT. So to combat that, all of the students in my class have to write handwritten essays in the classroom now. It's like this new technology has made us go back in time, in a way, to a time before computers. They're handwriting their essays again.
This just happened to me today, Andrew. They have websites that can detect AI written stuff. So I actually saw something my student wrote and I noticed, this is very much above average for what she usually writes. It's a math class, so I don't see too much, but it was enough. And so I plugged it into this AI detection software and it said 100% AI generated. You don't necessarily have to go back to paper and pencil since there are websites to detect AI usage or not.
Okay, well, Kassy, you'll have to send me that link after we finish recording here. That could be a game changer in
your classroom?
In my classroom, yeah. Probably the students wouldn't like it too much, but sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Kassy, can you think of a person who you could describe as a game changer?
Yeah. I think in the world of sports, this is happening a lot. For example, Simone Biles, she's a famous gymnast, and she perfected moves that they thought were impossible for the human body to contort themselves into. And there are marathon runners that are running crazy times these days that they couldn't imagine years ago. Yeah, so many cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you could think of any historical figure, like anybody who has had a big impact on history, and you could say, oh, that person is a game changer, right? Because remember the definition, a game changer is a person who alters the status quo, who has a huge effect in the world and changes the way that things are and makes things go in a different direction. And yeah, sports is one example of that. Of course, my favorite sport is ice hockey. So of course, my mind goes to Wayne Gretzky, the famous Canadian ice hockey player who is widely regarded as the best ice hockey player of all time. And he was a really important game changer for not only changing the way the game is played, but also he introduced the game to your country, Kassy, to the USA, and made it popular in a lot of areas that it wasn't popular in. For example, he was traded to the Los Angeles Kings, and he was important for making ice hockey popular in California, and then it spread to other places throughout the US in regions where it wasn't so popular before. So yeah, sports is a great example, and we could probably go on and on and on with different historical figures throughout the, thousands of years of human history. Kassy, what about in terms of entertainment? Can you think of a person or a thing that has been a game changer in the way we're entertained?
Yeah, two come to mind, different generations. The first one is Blockbuster, who brought movies to the home. And then after Blockbuster comes Netflix, who destroyed Blockbuster and brought movies to the internet.
Yeah, so for listeners who don't know, when Kassy and I were kids, there was a movie rental store called Blockbuster, and you could go to Blockbuster, you could rent a video cassette tape or a DVD. In my day, it was a VHS tape. Kassy, probably you were raised on DVDs. You could bring it home and you could watch a movie at home and then return the video back to Blockbuster. But then Netflix changed the game and they brought internet movies to life and streaming. And now, that's the world that we're living in these days, and you can just watch movies online. So I think that is a fantastic example, Kassy, of a game changer in the entertainment space. Absolutely. Well, listeners, I think with that being said, we are going to wrap up this episode here. We want to say thank you so much for tuning in and studying with us. And of course, we hope that you found this conversation useful for improving your English skills. This episode was made free for everyone to listen to because of our awesome member community. And without our members, Culips wouldn't exist. So as a thank you to everyone who supports Culips as a member, Kassy and I are going to keep our conversation going for just a little while longer in the ad-free version of this episode. And if you're a Culips member listening to this right now, make sure you listen to the bonus content as well, which you can get just by logging into your culips.com account.
If you're not already a member, consider joining to gain access to our helpful study guides and transcripts, fun bonuses, and to support the work we do at Culips.
You can also support us by following us on social media like Instagram or YouTube, telling your friends who are learning English to check us out, or by leaving us a 5-star rating and a positive review on your favorite podcast app. So we'll be back soon, everyone, with a brand new episode, and we'll talk to you all then. Take care. Bye.
Bye.